Welcome back, YouTubers, to another Raw review with us. Well, you know who we are. We're the British Fist, of course. Subscribe above, like this video, comment any thoughts you have on this edition of Monday Night Raw, the one before the 1000th, down in the comment section below.
And make sure you contact us in the link in the below. But let me just say this: you know what would be great, Dan, is if every year at a certain time of the year they have a match where they have to find a briefcase or determine that will give them a contract for a whole year. What an idea that would be. The WWE do that. Think of it. The wrestlers have to climb up a ladder, retrieve a briefcase that gives them a contract to go for the belt any time of the year. I just see it. I can just see it now.
I'm Mr. Parkin. This guy's sitting next to me. It's NJ.
What's up?
What a great way to start off this review. Okay, you kind of got me off track a little bit there, NJ, but this is the Raw before the 1000th episode, and it will be the last 2-hour Raw that we're going to sit through. I must admit, I'm not looking forward to 3 hours, but hell, we got a good 1000th Raw lined up anyway after Money in the Bank, haven't we?
Definitely, the way they've done this, following the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, which obviously has already happened, so they've already done my idea. Yeah. See, I'm doing the brains. And then they have this show that's hyping up the 1000th episode of Raw, the 3-hour Raw. They've done a very good job because it got mentioned quite a lot, especially by the commentators.
And they did build up a lot to it, and we will mention that as we go throughout the review. Plus, there's a lot to talk about in this review, guys, so if this does go on a little bit long, please forgive us.
And it'll be like the 3-hour Raw, but the British Fist version.
Yeah, pretty much. Also, we're going to plug Twitter like WWE do. Follow me, Daniel_Parkin, NJ17, and British Fist.
Hashtag British Fist.
Yeah, hashtag British Fist FTW. Ka-ching for the win. So should we just get on to this review, NJ? We've wasted 2 minutes already, mainly on your concept that WWE have already done, that Jericho invented, by the way. But we're going to say NJ invented it just for this review. We opened up the show with none other than CM Punk. Now, he was talking about his pipe bomb that he did last year and how, and I was thinking to myself, God damn, how the mighty have fallen in 1 year. CM Punk was that great character with the pipe bomb. And I just kind of feel that in this segment, it would have gone so much more differently if CM Punk was the character he was last year, rather than this, sort of crummy, cookie-cutter, typical WWE babyface on Big Show.
That's the thing, if the WWE kept to the CM Punk character they had last year, the whole year that he's built up to now would have been a lot better, more drawing, and obviously all you people think that Punk should be the main event, blah blah blah. Maybe it would have happened if they kept Punk, the character he was. So for the fact that WWE brought him down just because of their rules, their level, it's the WWE's fault. Punk's where he is at.
It is a disappointing realism, isn't it? Really, when CM Punk was a great character and he could have been a big draw for WWE. But they really fucked it up, which is why we've seen Cena in pretty much every main event since TLC. But there we go. And then you get Big Show coming out saying how he was inches away from winning Money in the Bank and talks about how Punk isn't special at all. And you know what? There is a little bit of element of truth to that, but that's mainly WWE's booking talking for you there, really, isn't it?
Yeah, with the Big Show trying to get as much heel heat he can, coming out to the champion. Yes, it's a bit of a thrown-in moment there, but Big Show is not the best on mic, but the WWE are trying to make him a top heel. So for him to come out to an segment with Punk, it worked for that.
And it set up the main event of the evening, which is essentially Big Show versus CM Punk as pre-announced. So this segment involved the two people in the main event. The interaction was generally pretty good. You can't help but feel that sometimes during these segments there's a lot of shoot stuff going on. But hey, there we go. At least there was no AJ and Daniel Bryan, which is why we love this opener. There was no AJ and no Daniel Bryan. Thank God they cut that storyline short.
And finally, this is going to be hopefully a chance for CM Punk to climb back up because he's away from AJ, he's away from Bryan. This is going to be Punk rebuilding his character away from that.
Let's face it, his character couldn't get much worse, could it? We then moved swiftly on to a tag team title championship match, which I said title championship, didn't I? Let's get that trending on Twitter. Let's see if we can do that. The match which I thought we'd probably see at SummerSlam or maybe even the 1000th edition of Raw. Kofi and Truth versus the Primetime Players. So instead of putting this, instead of putting this on free TV, why not build it to a pay-per-view? I'll just say that right now. And why are the Primetime Players losing again? Does it seem to me like they've just been de-pushed a little bit or something?
That is one way, but the way I see it is even though before Abraham Washington stepped in, they had bad luck, but it seems like Abraham Washington is beating them even more.
It does seem like they've all of a sudden pissed them off backstage and they're getting de-pushed. That's really all I can say about this segment, really. It went about 8 minutes, the tag champs win. Like, where do they go from here, really? They've had the tag champs win now.
And they had an idea to set up for SummerSlam, which could have been a pay-per-view worthy match in some way, even though the Primetime Players don't deserve it. But I just wonder what they're going to do now.
Yeah, remember, the next pay-per-view is actually next week. It's the 1000th edition of Raw. That's pretty much being treated like a pay-per-view right now, isn't it? A 3-hour Raw, which no one will have to pay to see. Hey, you can't help but feel Money in the Bank was kind of overlooked for this show, can you really? Yep. Next segment, we had a very, very angry and non-remorseful Alberto Del Rio beating on Zack Ryder for 1.5 minutes. A very serious Del Rio trying to avenge for his loss against Sheamus at Money in the Bank by kicking Zack Ryder's ass. A fan favourite getting a firm ass kicking, bound to get you a bit of heel heat, really, isn't it?
Very true, because Zack Ryder's not really had a match on Raw for a while, I think he mentioned, and now he's getting this. He's going up against Del Rio, who's in... The sad thing is, if he's not facing Sheamus, he's getting these squash matches just to give him quick, easy wins. But he gets one here, and I'm just wondering, where's he going to go next?
Yeah, I mean, they showed him being more angry and serious and more stiff in the ring, which is what they need to do, especially after he's... Apparently, they said he's worked for months to get this opportunity, so...
Who's that jumping up the sky?
Mysterio! Here we go! That's his old music. I'll always prefer his old music. Rey Mysterio makes his return on tonight's show. We get to see the 619 again, and we get to see Mysterio beat on Del Rio. They kind of bring him back pretty strong. Surprised they didn't bring him back on the 1000th episode, but if you think about it, a Mysterio Del Rio, even if we've seen it before, it does make a lot of sense because Del Rio was the one that took Rey Mysterio out. But nice to see, a nice surprise for this show. To see Rey Mysterio returning to TV.
And that's the thing, with Rey Mysterio still being a fan favourite, even though he did some naughties and stuff, got injured and stuff, the way I look at this now is that Rey Mysterio's back. Yes, you're going to go against Alberto Del Rio, which we saw that loads of times when Alberto first started. We're getting it again, for how long, who knows. And the other thing is, normally when the WWE have returns, they say, returning next week, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So this was definitely a surprise, even though if they were going to do the surprise, 1000 episode would have been more of a surprise than a week before.
It would have been, but I guess they got so much lined up for that show anyway. They thought, let's just give them a few surprises here. I imagine Mysterio and Del Rio will probably work a SummerSlam program. Maybe I don't know what they're going to do, but that looks like the way they're going to go around it. Exactly. The next segment we got involved the one-man band, and the reason I love this segment and why I'm smiling right now is because this was my mark-out moment of the night. None other than Rikishi, the talented Samoan, coming out and giving Slater a fucking big-ass beating. And I mean the big-ass beating, literally there.
Because the thing about Rikishi is that they kept it a secret. There's no spoilers for this particular one. This one was done really well. And Rikishi coming back, I do think they're probably going to hype it up and build it up to him and Fungosaurus. But this match, the squash match between him and Slater, very nicely done. Got to see all the moves we wanted to see. And we even got to see the dance.
And this was the mark-out moment. You get to see Rikishi in the middle of the ring dancing. And then instead of Scotty Tuhoy and Grandmaster Sexy, you get to see the Usos dancing with their dad. What an awesome moment that was to see the Usos and Rikishi dancing together. It was a great moment, wasn't it? A real nice moment.
It definitely made it for not having Scotty Tuhoy, who I'm pretty sure the fans would like to see, and Grandmaster Sexy, who made that odd appearance last year. But Rikishi and his son's very nicely moment. It made that part of Raw feel very special.
A real good segment. I mean, just the return of Rikishi and the dancing. I mean, for God's sakes, please set up further down the line Brodus Clay versus Rikishi in a dance-off. Please, I want to see that. I would pay money just to see that. I'm just saying. Our main event segment. Are we surprised that this was our main event, considering who was in it? Daniel Bryan and AJ versus even Miz. This was set up earlier on in the evening when you had Eve announcing a mystery opponent as the Miz. Another nice surprise on this Raw, in my opinion. But it seems like they're trying to turn Daniel Bryan face, doesn't it? It seems like they've gone down this whole AJ calling it down the middle, and now Daniel Bryan and her have now made up, and it seems like they're trying to get him over as a face or something now, really, doesn't it?
They definitely did make up, but the thing about this certain segment is the match, I was expecting for what happened at the pay-per-view, Daniel Bryan to walk out on AJ when she tries to tag him, but we didn't get that instead. Instead, we got AJ drop kicking Miz off the apron, blah blah blah, and then takes down Eve.
Way to bring Miz back, WWE. You get a drop kick from the ring apron from AJ. Basically, grinds down to the fact that Daniel Bryan helps AJ to get the victory, and if Miz wasn't an afterthought, he definitely was in this segment because you have afterwards. You have Daniel Bryan stuttering, I love you, AJ, and then he proposes. And you know what? This is really funny because this is supposed to get Daniel Bryan over as a face, in my opinion. But the fans were booing. They did not like this one bit. It's like he's a heel, but people love him. He's now a face, and people are booing him. This is just very strange, isn't it?
The soap is continuing. I just thought they wrapped it up at Money in the Bank, but it's continuing. In the background, I heard dum dum dum, this thing going on. And also, what I got is this. It's a wedding invitation to this stupid wedding having 1,000th episode. This is what I'm going to do, Brian.
Why didn't I get one?
That was for the British Fist.
Was that British Fist?
Yes.
I wanted to go. Why did you rip it up? I'm only joking. I wanted to go to see AJ in that lovely wedding dress. I'll see it on free TV anyway. Who gives a shit? I don't have to pay to see AJ in a wedding dress. But the thing is, you know what they're trying to do here, don't you? Although we don't really like the soap opera thing, they're trying to gain viewership off the AJ character and put it onto the Daniel Bryan character. Now, in a sense, that does make sense. You're trying to use AJ to get draws on a guy who doesn't really draw that much. But do we really want to see this? And they're having a wedding ceremony next week on the 1,000th episode. Where I was like, man, this wedding is happening fast, isn't it?
Crazy chick, no more marrying goat face.
Goat face who can't even stutter his mic work. But there we go. So yeah, that was great. But Daniel Bryan is now face. I wonder who he'll feud with going into SummerSlam. I think that'll be an important feud for the WWE. Who really knows? The Miz could be the guy. They have had previous history. Ryback faced Jack Swagger this week. Ryback facing a former World Heavyweight Champion, as much as it is hard to believe with Jack Swagger. It's nice to see Ryback starting to sort of fight bigger stars, even though this star has essentially been jobbing for like 2 years.
You could say he's been jobbing, but in his previous matches, he has put on somewhat of an okay match. He's looked okay in the matches, like ankle lock, actually looking good. This match, just the same. It was a squash match, but for the start of the match, we had Swagger looking good against Ryback before the obvious win.
Yeah, pretty much Ryback gets the victory. And he got a pretty good reaction as well. He managed to get a pretty good reaction. The feed me more. That was pretty good. So it's nice to see that Vince's golden child is finally starting to get over with the Raw crowd. Then we get to a very interesting segment. We had Dolph Ziggler cutting a promo, basically. It's interesting that, firstly, we had no Sheamus tonight.
No Sheamus!
Exactly. And we had Dolph Ziggler instead, the SmackDown Money in the Bank winner.
SmackDown Money in the Bank winner!
He basically comes out and saying how he's better than Bret Hart,
Bret Hart!
Stone Cold,
and
The Rock.
The Rock!
And I'm like, really?
Really?
You're a glorified jobber, Dolph Ziggler.
Ziggler!
Yeah, that's a good Vicky impression there, NJ.
NJ!
I knew you'd do that, you prick.
Yeah, this segment, I think, yes, well, yeah, it did what we were determined, but the way it spoke, it was going on, and Jericho just stood there. First, he was looking like, yeah, I'm going to bury you in a sec, and then also went,
hey, you didn't even need to talk to Barry him. He just code-breakered him. I was like, nah, man, you ain't pot-shotting me anymore, man. But anyway, this segment was okay. I did like this segment. I like what they're trying to set up here. Fact of the matter is, Dolph Ziggler hasn't really had a big feud or a big pay-per-view match, and Chris Jericho could be the guy. It seems like they're trying to use Ziggler as this kind of like, heel who's trying to get under his skin, saying, you haven't won. You kind of feel with Dolph Ziggler and his history of pot-shotting that he is actually meaning every word he's saying, don't you? It's like, you haven't lost. When was the last time you won, Jericho? You think he's pot-shotting, but it looks like he's playing like the cheeky heel, and Jericho is going to play the sort of babyface. Maybe this will lead to like a sort of maybe a last match for Jericho before he goes off on his Fozzy tour or something. I don't know.
Well, I think the way they're doing this is obviously, instead of having Ziggler in a match, they showed that he is good on the mic. He can actually say good stuff against someone as big as Jericho. And Jericho took what was given to him. But at the end of the day, the fact that they hinted that, I do see a feud and maybe some more on SmackDown following this.
It'll be a nice SummerSlam program, especially for Dolph Ziggler, in my opinion. I know I've been very critical of Dolph Ziggler winning that SmackDown Money in the Bank, but this could be at least they focus the spotlight on him, give him most of the mic work. Yes, he took a code breaker, but he was in a segment with Chris Jericho, and he could be working a SummerSlam program with Chris Jericho, which could be a very good thing if WWE wants to try and establish Dolph Ziggler as a guy that isn't just been jobbing half the time. And it is quite funny how he was talking about, when was the last time you won a match, Chris Jericho? I'm sitting there thinking, when was the last time you won a match, Dolph Ziggler? You're a glorified jobber. I'm just saying.
Even though I can remember one match that Ziggler got a win, because he got one over on Shane, not a pay-per-view, but on a TV show, and then he got a quick win on another show previously.
With 99 other losses.
Yeah, he's had loads of losses, but Jericho, I was struggling to think, I was thinking it's Jericho winning.
It's true. When was the last time Jericho won? It's like the battle of the glorified jobbers, isn't it? Oh my god. The battle of the glorified jobbers. How much hate are we going to get in the YWC for saying that a Chris Jericho and Soul Ziggler match is the battle of the glorified jobbers. You comment down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Should we go on to the main event?
Not yet.
Oh, what do you want? Oh, the shit. Yeah, we got some filler. Funkasaurus versus JTG, which was typical Funkasaurus squash. But at least Funkasaurus squashes a guy, and he does it in an entertaining way.
The match went on longer than it should.
It really did, yeah,
the thing about this is that this match should stay in Las Vegas. Should just stay there.
It pretty much should just stay in Las Vegas, like pretty much everything in Las Vegas stayed. But then we get to our main event. CM Punk versus Big Show was announced earlier in the night. The match itself, not really too much point in talking about the match. The match was decent, as you would usually expect from Punk and Big Show.
Well, the thing I want to say about this is obviously they went through the whole normal way. Big Show taking his time, beating down CM Punk. Big Show taking a bit of time talking to the fans when I thought he hated them. But
Shut up, fatty!
and all that stuff. And obviously CM Punk got his fighting style back by the end of the match, so it's pretty simple booking.
Big Show gets the victory via DQ. No one has to do a clean job. This is exactly how it should be, especially if you do have future plans for Punk and Big Show. And then we get Big Show beating down on CM Punk. And then John Cena comes out, and because we know he's a monster babyface, he protects Punk instead of cashing in that Money in the Bank, because he wants to cash it in on the 1000th edition of Raw to see who really is the best in the world. Hey, we got a big match for the 1000th Raw. I don't know why it couldn't have just been saved for SummerSlam, but the 1000th Raw is looking pretty good right now.
We're having this match on the 1000th episode of Raw. The thing I'm predicting for a temporary thought is if Cena wins, again, it'd be really sad if he loses his cash in, which I hope he does. But if he wins, he'll face CM Punk at SummerSlam, and maybe CM Punk will win it back. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it was definitely a match to build up for next week. And
also, they may be changing the belt. Who knows? They might get rid of that spinner belt. Hey! Although the belt didn't look that great in the preview, but there we go. And basically, the real reason why I was talking about this segment was because, we got Cena doing that. So we got Cena coming out to protect Punk, teasing a CM Punk versus John Cena match at the 1000th edition of Raw, which you must think will go on to the SummerSlam. So, you know, we had some groundwork laid for SummerSlam. Some of it was kind of confusing and a little bit strange, but at least they're trying to build to the 1000th Raw, and then after Raw, hopefully we'll just get good SummerSlam build, in my opinion, because we've got the DX reunion, which I know you're going to enjoy, Brock Lesnar versus Triple H announcement, an IC title defense, we got Bryan and AJ in a wedding, a possible new WWE title belt, we're going to have legends there, The Rock is going to be there, Vince McMahon should be there, so we got, for this 3-hour show, WWE do need to start it off with a bang. And it looks like with all the stuff they've got lined up, they probably will start with a bang. You never know. Maybe The Undertaker will return. They have a lot of stuff lined up for this show.
The 1000th episode is going to be one episode to watch out for, but there's one thing I want to quickly say when I'm going through the list, is when they had this IC title match made for next week, there's this stupid poll on the internet. You want to see Santino, Christian, or Layla, and I'm thinking, right, who are you going to choose? And my question is, who is Christian going to face? And I'm thinking none other than the guy who should be in the main event now, Cody Rhodes.
If Cody Rhodes, I don't know. At least he's on the 1000th edition. That's all I could say. He wasn't on this Raw, but there we go. So your overall thoughts on this 999th edition of Monday Night Raw?
This Raw was absolutely one that I can really give a thumbs up to. Compared to the ones going, this one got better throughout the whole show. You can minus a few things, but even those few things weren't awful. And this show I really liked. This gave us 1000 episode build and maybe some slight hint towards SummerSlam.
After the Money in the Botch. Sorry, did I say Money in the Botch? I meant Money in the Bank pay-per-view, which was a bit disappointing in my opinion. They needed to bounce back with a good show. They've got the 1000th edition coming up. They needed to hype up to that, which they did. They did quite well tonight, and they started laying the groundwork for some biggish SummerSlam programs, which I think could help some younger superstars like Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, etc. So this Raw managed to accomplish a lot. This has been one of the better Raws, in my opinion, in recent time, probably because of the Rikishi thing, the Rey Mysterio return, and those sort of things really do help a Raw feel a bit better, don't they?
Very true indeed, and now this is making me think, the 1000th episode, the way it's going, what are we going to get, what's going to happen, what is it going to lead to, and how much returns are we actually going to have full-time returns on this episode? Yep,
indeed. So comment your thoughts on this Raw down in that comment section. We really want to hear your thoughts on this one, guys, especially going into the 1000th edition next week. So looks like the reviews are going to maybe be a little bit longer from now on because of the 3-hour edition. But I'm looking forward to the 1000th episode. But like I must admit, I'm not really looking forward to it going 3 hours afterwards. I'm really not looking forward to it too much. But anyway, that's just me. I don't know how you feel about that, but.
Well, when it comes to obviously we've got plans of how we're going to give our thoughts on after the 1000th episode, so tune into that next week.
Yeah, we'll definitely do some sort of video based on that after next week's show. This week we'll probably give our thoughts on the Money in the Bank winners, Cena and Ziggler, in the Wednesday video, so definitely check that one out. So get your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you very much again for watching this Raw review with us, the British Fist.
Catching!
Mr. Parkin here, and finally none of the best person in the world, and the real moniker of best in the world, is going to do the outro for you guys, none of an NJ.
And now we've got 2-word fire! British Fist! Until next time, YouTubers, thank you very much, and goodbye.